be the change, be the transformation, because we live in a quantum universe where everything is intimately connected with everything else. Whatever you become helps me become. So let's become something better.
Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation. If you've ever wanted a greater understanding of the cosmos, where we fit in, and why we're in such a trying time, then do we have the Reconnecting to the Source show for you. Today I'll be talking with Ervin Laszlo, twice nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize Award, the recipient of the Goy Peace Prize, the Luxembourg World Peace Prize, and many, many more. The founder of systems philosophy and general evolution theory, and the author of many brilliant books, including his latest, Reconnecting to the Source. And that's just what I want to talk with him about today, about chaos, super-coherence, and what in the world's going on in the world today. So welcome to the show, Ervin. Are you ready to shine?
Michael, I'm ready. I'll do my best to shine.
Woohoo! And you are shining bright. So forgive me for asking, but where geographically are you in the world today, and what in the world do you see going on?
I'm in Tuscany, in Italy, the middle part of Italy, near the Mediterranean Sea, on a hilltop. What I see in the world is what everybody else sees, and nobody really knows what goes on, but we try to make sense of it. If we can. Anyway, we try to work our way through to a better and more stable and healthier world. So we can talk about all that if you like.
I'd like to. In fact, there's a term that you mentioned called chaos point, and I'm wondering if that's kind of where we're at in the world. What exactly is that?
Well, there can be multiple chaos points. I mean, these are processes of what is known in system sciences as a bifurcation, as a change in the evolutionary trajectory of a system. Systems evolve along certain trajectories, and all of a sudden that trajectory, that way where they go and how they go changes. And that is after the system itself has been disturbed, has moving on to a point where it is no longer able to sustain its trajectory, sustain itself. And then it becomes very sensitive to change. Even the smallest little impetus can change the system. It's cyberneticians call that the initial kick. You just give it a little kick and all of a sudden it can blow up and can change the system because the system is no longer stable. So that's where we are today. We are destabilized the system of life on Earth in many, many ways, economically, socially, ecologically, and now also in regard to human health.
If we look at the system of a whole, first off, is there coherence? Is there is there order to the system? And even though we're in chaos, I'm going to put that in quotes, it is to get us to a higher state of order.
Evolution is moving toward higher states of order or toward this disturbance and finally ultimate chaos. I mean, there's always goes up or down.
Yeah.
It doesn't change the way it is. So I think we are inherently bottom down on the deepest level. We are coherent. We wouldn't be here otherwise. Every cell in our body has to be coherent with every other cell to maintain us alive in this biological, physical world as well. So there is coherence. There is a drive toward higher and higher levels of coherence. But there is also a lot of noise in the system, a lot of disturbance, because we are not operating this system, not taking care of it as well as we should. We can talk about why, but it just seems to me that the main point is that we are looking at the system as though it wouldn't even exist. What exists is we, just our ego, just our own interests, and we disregard rest, and therefore we are creating destabilization, we are creating chaos in the rest. By pursuing our own interests, we are not advantaging the whole system, and therefore ultimately we are endangering ourselves too. So that's where we are.
Thank you. If we go back in human history, at one point we were in greater coherence with the system. We were operating within what I'll call natural laws. And then somewhere along the way, it seems like almost a small subset of humanity started a consolidation process, or viewing, you call it the earth as a toy store. I'll view it as a giant mining operation to extract all the resources for the few.
That's exactly, I think you're right. Yes, we have mistaken the way to go. We have mistaken what we are, who we are, and how we relate to the world. We thought that through technology, through power, we gain the ability to do what we want. And we serving our short-term interests, we get short-term satisfactions, advantages perhaps, but we are creating such a lot of what is known as collateral damage by the military. And it's such a lot of secondary noise that it finally could overwhelm us. So yes, you're right. We had in the past, we were living in the Middle Ages, in classical times. And in the East, for example, civilizations like the Indian, like the Hindu and the Chinese civilization have been around for 5,000 years. Of course, now they are under the sway of modern technological civilization, but they could maintain themselves because they were in harmony. They were coherent among the members. They were coherent with their environment. Of course, all nature is basically coherent. If it's here, if it's living, if it becomes extinct, of course, it's because it wasn't coherent. That's natural selection. But as long as a system exists, a natural living system exists, it is coherent. All its members serve a single, coherent, harmonious goal as to maintain the total organism and then the total species among the living things in this world.
You just triggered a thought. You talked about a single harmonious goal and survival of an organism. Can we look beyond humanity and look at a greater organism and as humanity as just one maybe individual cell as part of that whole?
Well, if we look at with the eyes, if we look at the world with the eyes of science, sure, then we must see that we are not the top of evolution. We are not the only thing in this world, in space and time. We are embedded. We are embedded in systems within systems within systems. We are embedded in a multiple level system, which the quantum sciences now talk about the whole universe being a macro level quantum system, where all things are connected and all things work together. For better or for worse, but they work together, they affect each other. So, of course, that is the reality. We are part of a tremendous integrated and integral sphere, the biosphere on this planet, which is an evolving overall system of which given elements can sometimes disregard this overall evolution and go on their own way. And then something happens which is equivalent in the human individual organism. It's equivalent to cancer, because then they just do their own thing and they disregard the rest of the organism. They're no longer in harmony, in tune with the rest of the organism. They just grow and develop on their own. That is something like what we are doing on this earth, becoming a kind of a cancer. But we also have consciousness, so we are not going blindly that way. We can recognize our way and we can rectify our way. So that is the hope. That is what I am talking about in this new book, reconnecting to the source. That's the way out. We have to know what the source is, this larger super system of which we are a part. And we have to connect with it, reconnect, because we have lost that connection.
Thank you. Tell me more about the source. And I'm interested in comments that Einstein once made, that Max Planck once made, about the divine intelligence of everything, or the divine intelligence behind the hologram we're living in.
What comes to the fore in modern science is that this universe is complex, is very finely tuned. All its elements are tuned to all other elements. Until you disturb it, until comes a species that arbitrarily disturbs it, the system is coherent. Now, this coherence creates such a complex system, such an incredibly finely tuned, finely adjusted system, where all things respond to all other things. You see, all the laws of physics, the classical physics, are toward disintegration, are toward what is known as entropy.
Yes.
It's moving down to the heat test of the universe. That are just the classical beliefs. But we see now that there is in the universe, there is something like an élan vital, that Bergson, the French philosopher, called it that. But we can call it the divine principle or law or the higher intelligence, something that moves this system. So it creates integrated, self-maintaining overall whole systems. That's a remarkable thing. That in a way it comes back to religion, with the big difference that at least in Western religions, they talk about the source as being outside of nature, is being above it in some sense. In science, what talks about this source, this higher intelligence as penetrating and informing nature in all its elements, informing every cell in our body and our whole body and our whole existence.
If this divine intelligence is informing everything, everyone, and every cell in our being, how do we get back? It seems like with modern news, what I call negative worthless stimulation, like the news, we have become disinformed and disempowered as to what our role truly is and who we truly are.
Well, fortunately, we are beginning to realize that the information that makes the universe what it is, this higher intelligence, is an impetus, is a drive, is what in science we might call an attractor, something that moves systems in a given direction. And that drive, that attractor, is also in us, or if you prefer to say, it also affects and influences us. We perceive it, we feel it, we live it. When we feel aligned with the world around us, and when we align ourselves with everybody and everything around, with nature and other people, then we feel ourselves fulfilled, and we feel that we are truly living, we are contented, and then we feel empathy, we feel compassion, we feel love. But that is now becoming a more and more rare feeling. That means we have to come back to that, but it is there. In the depths of our subconscious, we feel that oneness which forms and informs the universe. That term comes from quantum science. It's not just imagination. The universe could not be moving, could not have developed or evolved to where it is today unless it was informed by something that operates in the depths of the universe.
Is there a feedback loop as well, so that we have informed the system to create this apparent chaos point to actually help us to get back into coherence?
Well, to help us, I don't know. It's an opportunity to get back.
Thank you.
What we know is that there is no real evolution or progress of any kind unless the status quo, what we are at any one time, is perturbed, is disrupted. Then there is a possibility to move forward, to change. We have to be the change we want to see in the world, but we won't change unless and until there are complacency or belief that everything is okay just the way it is, unless and until we are willing to change. So I think, yes, there is definitely in this bifurcation process that I'm talking about, there is a teleological, it's a purposive and purpose-directed element. There is something that is moving us. Now, if we manage to survive this crisis, which I believe we will, but it's not said and done yet, then I think we will be moving on to the next level of coherence, a more coherent, more sane, more healthy society on this planet.
Is that what you're calling super-coherence?
Super-coherence is a complete coherence, internal and external. I call it extrinsic and intrinsic. Yeah. Intrinsic coherence is what makes you healthy. If we didn't have intrinsic coherence, our body couldn't survive, couldn't operate. We need to be coherent. Every part of our body has to be coherent with every other part. Respond to it instantly. External coherence or extrinsic coherence is being coherent with our environment, with each other as humanity, as society, as culture, with nature, with the biosphere, ultimately, I think, with the universe. So when we are coherent inside and outside, inner directed, outer directed, and all levels, then we have a perfect coherence. And that's what I call super-coherence.
Thank you. It seems like when you wrote this book, you had some idea of where humanity was heading, to say the least. And the timing of this book is fascinating, with its release just coming out now. And it seems like you were moving very slowly, very calmly, but you had a message to get out for which you were in a horse race, trying to get this message out as humanity is kind of driving the Ferrari right toward the cliff. What was that message, and what's the most important thing that you need to share right now?
I have felt something like a drive, some urging that I need to get this message out. So I have been working day and night and have my collaborators pulled together, and we're working together. And we have over about 24 people involved in just writing in this one book. And I'm already working on the next book, which is to be published at the end of the year. So I feel that I've got to get this message together and message to get it out. And then what happens to it is no longer up to me. Then it's up to whoever gets it into his or her hand, to his or her attention, and to do what you want to do with it. I think the openness now is far greater than it was 6 months ago, a year or two ago. Obviously very much greater, because now we know that there's some need for change. We have to really look around. We can't just close our eyes. We can't just say everything is okay, everything is unchangeable. The positive message is that this world is changeable, and it is changing already. There are many positive elements of changing. Holotropic change, which I call in this book, in other words, a tropism, a kind of an impetus or an attraction toward wholeness, toward integration, which is also an impetus toward coherence. I think those things are going on at the same time. We just have to see that we join the right thing. We join not the disruption, the disintegration, but the integration, the oneness that is already developing around us.
Thank you. Thank you. One of the guests that you have writing in here is Lynn McTaggart. We've had her on the show several times talking about the power of 8, and we've been organizing for our own YouTube channel groups of hundreds, and we've had up to thousands now meditating at the same time on the same cause. Scientifically, what's going on with that, and why does it matter?
Obviously, it matters, because if we use the right intention, the right meditation, then we become a force for stability, for coherence, for evolution in the world. What goes on seems to be a very great metaphysical recognition from ancient times, coming back now to the new scientific level. Namely, that consciousness is such a primary element in the world. It's not something that is just a byproduct of the workings of our brain. Consciousness, mind, intellect, is something that is in the universe, and that is a major force in the universe. So this recognition is what impels us to enter into conscious relationship, or enter deep down into our own being, into our own consciousness, meditate, become attentive, become attuned to higher levels of coherence in nature, in art, in wherever it is around us. I think if we do that, I think that is the key to coming back to the natural orders, to the divine or metaphysical or cosmic order, which is there in the world, without which this world could not exist. So now we have disturbed it, but we are creating the opportunity at the same time to move forward, to leave behind the poor, the mistaken past that we have taken, and take a better path where we are coherent with each other, with the world, and we can evolve together.
Thank you. I'm wondering what the misconceptions are that are hurting us so much. And I remember being in New York City a few years ago, and a raptor landed in a tree. And I went, oh, wow. And a guy was walking by. He had his coffee, his briefcase, his suit. And he's like, what? And I pointed to the raptor. And he goes, nature. I don't do nature.
Well, nature, we are trying to capture nature even in Central Park sometimes. It's better than nothing, but it's a highly circumscribed nature in a way. We are living in a very, very synthetic, artificial world. And we have to try to find our way, that the beauty, the meaning, the transcendence that's even in that world that we have created, the artificial world. Otherwise, we just simply say goodbye to all the natural orders and we go out in a way that could be highly dangerous, not unstable, and who knows whether it can be actually salvaged. But it is in us. We can recognize the way. I know I sound a little bit like somebody religious, like a prophet, but
it's interesting. Let me pause you for a brief second. At the end of the day, at the top of the pyramid, there is no difference, is there?
No, I mean, ultimately, when we try to find truths, find reality, we find it in beauty, we find it in significance. And then whether we find it through Plato and Aristotle, or through the Buddha, or the Tao, or Jesus Christ, there's all different ways to get to love, to get to understanding, to get to working, to being part of each other. So there is no difference. The way leads toward coherence, and as you said it yourself a moment ago in your question, it's toward super-coherence. That's the idea, that's the objective. That's what we have to recover. To that is what we have to reconnect.
So would you say that's our cosmic purpose, and sorry, I'm asking you so much at once, but you're doing an amazing job with it. Is this cosmic purpose, are we sewn together through a fabric or an energy or a mathematical blueprint of love?
If you like to put it that way, I would go along with it, yes. I think love is built into this universe. What holds the proton and the neutron together in the nucleus of the atom is this higher intelligence that Max Planck said it must exist. That Einstein said, yes, there must be higher intelligence behind the laws of nature. And that higher intelligence, when we grasp it, when we feel it, that it is expressed in us as empathy, as compassion, as a feeling of oneness, and ultimately, on its highest level, it's expressed as unconditional, universal love. We are naturally oneness, coherence, and love-oriented beings. We would not be here unless we were. But we have suppressed these feelings by the search for power, for money, for advantage, and looking at the world as though it would be our creation. Well, the world is there, the world is meaningful, it is evolving, and we can be part of this evolution. It's our choice. But when we are in tune with the evolution of the world, we feel this oneness, we feel comforted, we feel having a higher purpose with us.
Thank you. Are you feeling positive? Because I see the world as a very light point right now. It can go either way because we are off balance. I see that as a good thing because I think if people listening to this, if we start to do some of Lynn McTaggart's work, if we all come together and have a focus of bringing light, going back to who we truly are, we can shift this in a positive direction. Are you feeling positive?
I think there's a tremendous opportunity in front of us. I think there will be a critical mass who will take that opportunity, and then that will nucleate, as they say, and become a powerful movement. We have to make sure that there is at least a critical mass that can work together, that can create the intention, the direction, give the direction. Consciousness is a predominant characteristic of this whole universe. Enter into that consciousness. Whatever we do is part of that consciousness. We live in what I call an Akashic field. We live in an interconnected, memory-filled universe. Whatever we do takes place in it, enters into it. So it enters into us as well. That's the great challenge, the great task, to inform us so we can inform the world. That's a little bit of a paraphrase of Gandhi's saying about being the change. We have to inform ourselves to become more rational, more sane, more healthy beings, more coherent beings. Then I think we inform our world around us, and that's the chance that will become an epidemic, a resonant and coherent epidemic.
Woohoo! And that means, Ervin, that each one of us matters. Each one is an important either domino or node in a matrix, but each one of us, for the whole to get into coherence, we each have a mission at this time, don't we?
We are each of us is part of the whole, and we each influence the whole. We each are a critical element in the whole. So yes, we are not on the sidelines. We are not just mechanical toys. We are people, we are beings with our consciousness who can orient ourselves so as to become more coherent, so as to become part of the source, evolve with the source. I think that's our task. That's our opportunity. That's our chance.
Thank you. Which means that if we go from kind of a Greek hero or the hero's journey, Joseph Campbell hero's journey, it needs an upgrade right now, doesn't it?
It's not an individual journey. It's a collective journey. The hero is one who influences other people by being something, by becoming something. Then it allows other people, helps other people to become that. And then together we can all become a hero by following something that is penetrating from other people, penetrating us. All great art is not manipulative, not things that the artist makes us do. The artist feels something, that artist develops, becomes the work of art, and then he can share it. That's just the way it happens in the world too.
What are the three bangs behind us, and what does it mean to guide to the fourth Big Bang?
Well, there have been several global changes, and there has been some philosophers of science who just use it metaphorically, said these are something like Big Bangs. Of course, the development of the universe, the birth of the universe was the original Big Bang. But since then, the emergence of life in the universe, it's here, and most likely wherever there are suitable conditions, life is emerging. That also represents a kind of a total change. No longer just chemical reactions, but something living, something purposive, something conscious coming into the world. But really, I want to say the third, next Big Bang, or perhaps the second Big Bang, however we want to categorize this, is the emergence of consciousness. So we can steer our way, we can recognize who we are and what the world is. So these are tremendous changes. Emergence of civilization, yes. And now I think we are on the threshold of another major change. We have to find a way in which we can live together, in which we become coherent and super-coherent. We can do it, but then it will be a way, way higher, way above what we have created so far. This crisis that we live through is our chance, is the option. So let's take it.
Woohoo! And you may have just done it, Ervin, but any last words of wisdom you want to share with people today?
Be the change, be the transformation, because we live in a quantum universe where everything is intimately connected with everything else. Whatever you become helps me become. So let's become something better. That's what I want to say.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Where can people go to find your beautiful book, Reconnecting to the Source, and find out more?
Well, I mean, it's wherever books are sold. All the bookstores should have it. One can certainly order it. It's available online. There's also an audio book, which is now coming online as well, so you can listen to it. I have ervinlaszlo.com. I also have the LaszloInstitute.com, which is an institute for researching the new way, the new paradigm. And we all look forward, we all welcome people who participate actively, in whatever way they can or want, to create a new way of thinking, which I call in the scientific terms the new paradigm. But it is a way of thinking and feeling that we need in this world.
Thank you. So for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun, get reconnecting to the source, and be the change you want to see in the world today. And shine bright. Woohoo! Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael. It was tremendous to talk with you.
It so goes both ways. I love what you're doing. I love the horse race that you're on. I share this race with you. So let me know if there's ever anything I can do to help, because we are all in this together.
You are doing it. Just keep doing it. That's the wonderful thing.
If you like this video, then you're a light worker, you're a light warrior, and we need your love and light. We need to crank it up to the max. That's why we're offering boot camps. You can check them out down below. Monday through Friday events, 1 hour a day, almost free, to help you crank your light up to the max, get you in the most positive place possible, boost your immune system to the max, and help you to help the world to shine bright. We're also offering YouTube live events every Saturday and Sunday during this time to help you overcome fear, overcome worry, overcome stress, and again, boost up your immune system. These tapping events, these boot camps, all involve group meditations where we come together, set group intention, help you help yourself, help your family, and help the entire world. You're a light worker. Your time is now. So come join us. Click below for these extra special events. I just had the most beautiful conscious field, in alignment, in coherence, reconnecting to the source interview with Ervin Laszlo. To check out more coherence filled interviews, click here, subscribe below, give us 2 thumbs up if you love this, leave your comments below, and of course, join us for our YouTube lives and our boot camps. Love you guys so much. You can click the link below to subscribe and to check out our boot camps. Shine bright. Woohoo! Love you guys so much.